This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now, Tony Bruschi.
Let's start with a scene that sounds like something straight out of a nightmare. Because, well, it is. Or more accurately, out of a horror film that you didn't realize was set in your own neighborhood. We're talking about the Austin Drummond story. He was just arrested. Let's get you all caught up on what's going on here, because we're going to start following this. So on the morning of July 29th, 2025, just a mere short few weeks ago, in Dyer County, Tennessee, a baby was found abandoned on a stranger's porch. No note, no explanation, just an infant left in a car seat in the middle of a muggy summer morning. I mean, that alone would be enough to raise eyebrows and alarm bells. But it was only the prologue to this whole story. And we're going to break down here for you the details of all of this, of what happened, why it matters, and what's next in this case, as we use this kind of as a way to establish this story and get some understanding of where we're beginning. Investigators quickly traced the baby's identity and, chillingly, her connection to a family home in nearby Lake County. That is where law enforcement discovered what can only be described as a massacre. 4 people: James Wilson, who was only 21, Adrianna Williams, 20, Cortney Rose, 38, and Braydon Williams, only 15 years old, shot dead and left behind like discarded furniture. The baby? She had just lost both of her parents, her grandmother and her teenage uncle, in what appeared to be a targeted execution. Babies related to them. The man authorities say is responsible, 28-year-old Austin Robert Drummond. That's him in this picture if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're not watching us on YouTube, search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. You'll find us there, and leave us your comments on this case. Let us know what you're thinking. Drummond was no stranger. He wasn't some random monster out of the woods. No, he was someone close to the family. Intimately so. He'd allegedly been in a relationship with one of the victim's relatives. That's right. This wasn't random. It was personal. Following the killings, Drummond allegedly loaded that infant into a vehicle, drove her miles away, and left her on a doorstep like a twisted take on a stork story. And then he disappeared. Authorities say he vanished into the trees with a gun and a go bag, triggering a multi-county manhunt that would stretch for a week. But Drummond wasn't exactly a criminal mastermind. He was spotted on home surveillance cameras near Jackson, Tennessee, decked out in camo and carrying a rifle like he was auditioning for a Duck Dynasty reboot gone rogue. That image would prove critical. Law enforcement agencies, federal, state, and local, band together to form a dragnet. Yes, a dragnet, like the movie or the show. They upped the reward for his capture from $2,500 to a staggering $32,500. Tips poured in. And today, the day we're recording this, you might be seeing this on August 6th, unless you're a premium member, but August 5th, today, he was arrested. Drummond was finally found hiding in the woods outside Jackson. Not in a cave, not in a hideout, just out there, sulking, like the villain in a cheap thriller who didn't realize the third act had already started. To make matters worse, this walking disaster didn't act alone. Authorities have since arrested 3 more people. I know. Giovante Thomas, Taneka Brown, and Deborah Sanders on charges of helping Drummond after the fact.
And they're just in their 20s. These are young people who've just absolutely thrown their lives away.
Yeah, to help a convict. He had his own little fan club of associates, basically, allegedly helping him clean up, hide out, and cover his tracks. So that's the snapshot. A family wiped out, a baby orphaned, and a coward hiding in the woods after allegedly committing one of the most brutal family murders in recent Tennessee history. So what does this all mean? We know what happened now. Here's what it means. This case isn't just about one twisted guy with a gun. It's a story of relational betrayal, unchecked violence, and a justice system that thankfully moved fast but couldn't prevent what unfolded. So let's start with the psychological whiplash that we're seeing here. Drummond, by all accounts, was close to this family. That makes us feel less like a crime of passion and more like a premeditated betrayal. The kind of betrayal that only someone inside the circle could carry out. It's the oldest true crime trope in the book. Monsters wear familiar faces. But it never gets less horrifying when it's real. The baby being left alive is almost cinematic in its cruelty. On one hand, it saved a life. On the other, it underscores just how intentional the rest of the violence was. He didn't snap. He allegedly chose who lived and who died. He made the calls. The infant's survival isn't a sign of mercy. It's a punctuation mark at the end of a calculated rampage. And let's talk about those so-called helpers. Giovante, Tanika, and Dara. If the allegations hold up, they weren't just passive bystanders. They're accused of actively aiding a quadruple murder suspect. That's accessory after the fact with a heavy dose of moral rot. Tampered with evidence. Helping him lay low. Wasn't some buddy covering for a shoplifter. This was allegedly helping a man who gunned down a family. Why? Loyalty? Fear? Indifference? We don't know yet. But it points to something deeply broken in certain corners of the human experience where empathy evaporates and people choose complicity over conscience. From a criminal justice perspective, this case moves quickly from who done it to what now? We know the who, we have the how. What we're left with is trying to make sense of why. And in so many cases, that's probably never going to happen. We're never going to know the why. There isn't a why to this. Whatever the why is in someone's brain, meshed up amongst all sorts of unhealthy, messed up thinking that will never make any real logical sense. I mean, have you ever, Stacey, have you ever heard a case where it's like, oh, they did this horrible, horrible thing. Well, why? And we find out what their motive is, and you're like, oh, well, that explains it.
You know,
Go on with your day.
Times of, you know, if somebody's experienced severe trauma or, well, I guess maybe just trauma, you know, PTSD, that kind of thing, I can understand. It doesn't mean it explains it, but it gives a little more believability to the fact that, okay, I can see that you'd snap. I saw a Facebook quote, and I don't know if you were going to get to this, that was written by a relative. Mm-hmm. It says, quote, Drummond had literally been nothing short of amazing to us and our kids every time he had been around us up until this point. What happens to somebody that they just wake up one day and go, I'm going to choose violence, literally choose violence? It's a funny saying, like, oh, my cat today woke up and chose violence. These are people that we're covering that actually woke up one day and said, I'm going in. I'm going in.
I mean, that's the big question. How did it get there?
Yeah.
Law enforcement here, credit where credit is due. They got their guy in a week, but not before an entire community was sent into a panic, fearing an armed and dangerous killer who'd already shown he was willing to destroy lives without blinking. That week of fear will linger for locals long after the headlines fade. I know that. I'm in a community where that's happening right now. Mm-hmm. The Devil's Den thing happened right here. And it took a good 5 days to get the guy with a non-working tip line for a good chunk of it. So what's next? Now that Austin Drummond is in custody, the story shifts from the hunt the courtroom, and it's going to be a long one. Drummond faces a slew of charges: 4 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, felon in possession of a firearm, and using a firearm during a dangerous felony. In other words, he's not walking away from this. District Attorney Danny Goodman has already floated the possibility of seeking the death penalty, which he should. And honestly, if this case doesn't qualify for it under Tennessee law, what actually does? You got multiple victims, a child endangered, a suspect with a violent criminal history. It's not some gray area tragedy. It's alleged butchery, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a matter of his accomplices. Each will face their own trials. You can bet prosecutors will push them hard to flip to testify against Drummond in exchange for reduced sentences. Whether they roll or ride or die remains to be seen, but they know if they know anything about planning, motive, or aftermath, the state's going to want every word of it. They have, arrested these people and they have charged them. We'll see what they know. That is not an immediately clear picture yet, but we will continue to dig into that and bring that to you. So if you're interested in this case, this is our first video on it. This is our first audio piece on it on the podcast. We are just beginning to dig into this. There's a lot to get into here. So press subscribe so you don't miss that as we continue to dig into it. And let us know your opinions on social media about it. And if you know anything, if you're in the area and you have any knowledge about any of this, please do reach out. True Crime Today Pod is our website. There's a contact area there. And you can reach out directly if you have anything that you want to share about this. You can do it anonymously too. Getting that information out helps us make better sense of this. Not a very senseless tragedy. What about the baby? That little girl, now without her parents or family, becomes a silent center of this case. She'll grow up reading about this, Googling it someday, trying to piece together how she ended up in a stranger's yard on a summer morning. I mean, it's unfathomable. We have to say survivors are the lucky ones, but let's not mistake survival for resolution. Her road will be long. The blessing in that is that she's a baby. Maybe she won't remember most of this. It'll be something that she's told about, but the trauma will exist. Maybe different from what it would be if she was 4 or 5. And that might be the only blessing in this twisted story. As for the community, they'll try to move forward, but they won't forget. Not the sirens, not the helicopters, not the fear, not the baby on the porch. These things imprint. They leave physical scars, psychic scars, basically, long after the bodies are buried and the cameras are gone. So what's next? Well, legal chess. Public mourning. Hopefully, if there's any cosmic justice left, a reckoning for everyone who played a role in this tragedy. And for Drummond, allegedly speaking, the woods have hidden him for a few days. But the courtroom lights don't go out. Not for monsters like him. He will be facing them very, very soon. And justice will hopefully be served. But there's a lot to unpack in this thing, and there's a lot of learning to do. Literally, I am learning about it as I've been sharing it with you. My mind has been so engrossed in the case that I've been covering here locally with the Devil's Den killer and Andrew McGann. I've been seeing the headlines on this, but I've not been able to engage or really even absorb any of it until right now. But it's another madman, another one that went out, and I'm very curious as to what drives you to do this? What happened? And does it make any sense? And could this have been prevented? Is there any way? Is there a see something, say something here, like with Andrew McGann, where it was, well, this person got passed along from district to district after many people had put red flags up about this person being unstable and predatory. Sometimes it's not always in the same vein as where the crime takes place. Sometimes there's other places where it's like, well, people did know about this, but nothing could be done because our system really favors protecting unhealthy predatory behavior than it does protecting the vulnerable. Your turn. As you sit there and shake your head for those of us playing along at home, I'm not by myself.
No, you're not. I'm just, I'm stunned, and I say this as well. I'm going to be real and honest. I'm now single as of the last. Has it been 3 weeks now?
Something like that.
3 weeks. So, I read a story going back to Koberger about there was a break-in in 2021 that really kind of resembled, it could have been Brian who did this, a trial run.
That's another
and
story.
Now I live by myself. I'm trained in martial arts, but it just makes you think, like, who are the people around you? Who lives upstairs from me right now? Who lives next door to me? Who's wandering around this complex going, who can I go after next? Is it somebody I know? Am I being paranoid? I sleep with, I have knives all over this apartment right now.
Yeah, you're being a little paranoid.
Look where I work. Dude, I am inundated with horrific stories. And now that I'm alone, it just kind of, it brings it to the forefront. Like, I kind of just cock my head and look at people now. Like, could you snap?
Lock your door. Have a good padlock on that sucker.
I do.
Have a weapon nearby at bed in a vulnerable.
I've got several.
And then live your life.
Exactly. But it's a different mindset to think. I mean, when I lived in a home for 20 years, not like a home, but a house.
She lived in an old folks home. She's actually 84, everyone. It's kind of crazy.
I'm a time traveler.
Yeah.
It's a weird sense of security. So now that I'm by myself, I don't know that I'm any less safe, but it makes you think I could be. So I have to fend for myself. There's nobody else here that might step up and go, I'll help you.
You need to fend for yourself. You need to just be vigilant, and you need to be able to live your life with not living it in fear. And that's
exactly. But it's a fine line, because when we talk about stories like this, people didn't know that Drummond would snap.
But there's almost always a reason. When we dig this, we're gonna figure out what it was. We're gonna find something triggered him, something went off, something happened, and you don't know. You really don't. But sometimes the company you keep, you kind of look at it and go, well, yeah. And I have no idea what the story is here. I don't know if there's any red flags with this guy. I have no idea. But there's many cases where you go, like the Andrew McGann, like we have here in Arkansas, who's going to be a teacher this week, but he decided to kill a family on a hiking trail before it started. Those folks, you can go, okay. I mean, there was red flags left and right. You kind of knew. You don't keep those people close. And things happen, but you can't live your life under a rock going, I don't want to be exposed to them. They're out there. Just be smart. That's the biggest thing.
Well, and the reason that this person and again, Koberger says that it wasn't him, this trial break-in, but the woman kicked the guy in the stomach and he took off. So there's something to be said, if you listen to true crime and go, wow, could this shit happen to me? Learn how to defend yourself. Learn some basic things. There are some amazing things that you can learn that can save your life.
Yeah.
And not that it's going to ever happen, but I think one of the benefits of learning about true crime and learning about how people do perpetrate these crimes is that it gives us an idea of what's out there and how we might defend ourselves.
Well, and they're also going after people they're going to be targeting people who are vulnerable, who are not paying attention. And if you exert signs of paying attention, you're not necessarily going to be on the target list for most people.
Yeah.
So
they're looking for the people who are walking down the street doing this with their phones and not paying any attention to who's around them. Yeah, they're looking for an easy target.
They are.
Is what they're looking for.
They want the easy. They're not going for complicated. So there's that. But there's a lot in this story, and we'll keep following it. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. I want to bring this up today because I told my daughter I would do it. It's my birthday today. I'm 43. Yay. And she got me this amongst a couple of things. Mixology and Murder.
It's perfect.
This book. I just got it before we went on the air. And it's a book that connects true crime stories with cocktails. And in different ways, shapes, and forms. So this is not an advertisement for the book. Oh my gosh, it's Ulysses Press. That's my publisher. I didn't even know that.
We should see if we can get the author on. That'd be a fun segment.
Yeah. Ulysses is actually what has also published, as you know, I also do, maybe you don't, ghost stories. We have a show called Real Ghost Stories Online. It's been around for about 13, 14 years. And we have a book out there, and they are actually our publisher for that, which I didn't know that this was. But that's and actually I think you can get that book in Cracker Barrels here pretty soon, because it's Halloween season and they like to sell it at the Cracker Barrel. I have so many people every Halloween go, I saw your book at the Cracker Barrel. And I think there's actually some copies right behind the screen here, but it's going to be difficult to get them. Anyway, if you like ghost stories, that exists too. I wasn't trying to make a tie in there, but anyway, there's that. So great stuff.
Gift, Harper. Good job.
She's great. Yeah, no, she knows.
I think she knows you.
Well, I was recording because we're doing another piece because the Andrew McGann story ended up leading us to, well, how did he get to Arkansas? And it turned out to be this huge fallout within the educational system of passing the trash of suspect teachers from district to district with no oversight. So I'm doing a 10-part series on that here on the channel. Maybe you're watching it already. If not, if you have kids, you should, because there's a huge problem within our education system of these predatory teachers just being passed along like the Catholic Church did forever. It's real, it's happening, and you need to pay attention. But she was out here just outside the studio today when I was recording a segment of it, and she's like, I was just waiting for you to say, I'm Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again real soon. I knew that's when I could walk into the studio. So
she knows you.
She knows me. She knows me well. Anyway, that's the latest on that case. Please do let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And until next time, for Stacy, I'm Tony. We will talk again real.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.